Hi everyone, welcome back to the course. In the last video, we learned how to access and set object properties in JavaScript. Today, we are going to take it one step further and learn how to remove properties from objects and compare objects and their properties. These are essential skills when working with the objects, especially when you are building a real application where you need to clean up data or check if two objects are similar. So let's dive right in. First part is removing object property. And this part the delete operator, and the delete operator returns a boolean. Okay, first the delete operator. JavaScript gives us a special operator called the delete to remove properties from objects. Let me show you how it works. Okay, as you see, the city property is completely removed from the object, right? It's important to understand that delete actually remove the property from the object. It doesn't just set it to undefined. Okay, and let me show you the difference. Okay, you see the book object with the setting to undefined, books.pages is undefined, console log it, and you get this page undefined. But actually, if you're using the delete operator, book.author console log, and you see it's showing actually there is no author in book property. Actually, it's written the false property is gone. There is no author property are available. Okay, so next is the delete operator return a boolean. Actually, this delete operator actually return true or false. And what is it? Suppose in return true, actually it's return true if the delete was successful and false if it wasn't. Okay, the result is true because it's deleted, otherwise it's showing wrong. So however, in most normal cases you will get return true. Okay, the next part is what can be deleted. There is something you should know about what delete can and cannot remove. Okay, you see, I hope you remember delete works on object properties that you have defined, but not a variable or inherited properties, right? If you see, you cannot delete the variable. Delete variable, it's not possible. But if your console log it, get the 10 because it still exists, you can't delete it. And also you cannot delete the property inherit from the prototypes. You see, this is the object, and if you are trying to delete the object or the string, it won't work. Delete because the this delete is inherited, so it still exists. And also you can delete these delete properties from object. If you see delete, this is the object, and you are trying to user.username, and actually, oh sorry, you can delete this property with the delete.user if you are specify this. Okay, then it's showing the empty object because you are deleting this value. Okay, great. Now third is comparing object property. So there is another one option is the comparing object properties manually. So actually, now let's talk about the comparing object. This is where things get interesting because the object behave differently than the primitive values. Okay, so give me a second. I comment it first. Okay, so compare the object properties manually. Did you see? Const num1, num2, then num equal num2, and it's you get the output, and then string1, string2 also same. But if you are trying to object, and this is actually different name, and you actually if you are comparing with the object1, object2, it give you a false result. And actually, why is this false? The object look identical, right? This is because when you compare object using the strict operator or strict or the loose operator, I mean the triple and double equal, JavaScript check if they are the same object in memory, not if they have the same properties. Okay, these are two different objects even though they have the same content. Okay, suppose you see person1, person2, then console log, it actually same reference, right? In that case, this is return true because the person 1, actually person 2 is pointing to the exact same object as a person 1. Okay, great. Now comparing object property manually, another option is, actually if you want to check if two objects have the same properties and values, you need to compare them property by property. Okay, what it means, suppose you see there is a two object, right, and this is the manual comparison, and this is what, but it's tedious for the object with the many properties. Okay, you see it's totally manual, right? Okay, great. Now the part 4 is the comparing object with the function. So let's create a reusable function to compare two objects first. Then actually this will be a great property. Actually this will be a great practice for everything we have learned so far. Okay. Suppose here this function check if both objects have the same number. Both objects have the same number of property, and if all the value match. Okay, you see, get the key of both objects. Then if they have different number of properties, they are not equal, right? Check if all property and value match, right? This is the for loop, and then it's return true. So important note, remember this is a shallow comparison. It works for simple object but won't deeply compare nested object. Actually we will learn about deep comparison later in the course. Okay, so don't worry. And you see, when you are testing testing out testing this our function, the product 1 2 3, and then console log this function, and you get the result true or false. Okay, great. Now the part 5 is the check if a property exists or not. So before we wrap up, okay, let's talk about checking if a property exists in an object. Let me show you the example. This is a smartphone, and the first method is using in operator, and second method is using hasOwnProperty. Okay, actually this is method, right? What is it? Try to understand. Actually try to understand. When you are using the brand, this is brand in smartphone. Okay, actually this in operator in hasOwnOperator, actually hasOwnProperty, are the most reliable way to check for property existence, especially when a property might legitimately have an undefined value. Okay, so that's why we are checking with this in and hasOwnProperty method. Okay, great. Now the practical example. So let's combine what we have learned in a practical example together. See, this is our user profile object. First, remove the temporary data after user verification. If user profile dot notation with the verification is, it means user profile dot is verification return true. If return true, this is actually reliable scenario. Okay, actually if this return true, then delete the user profile temporary password and delete the user profile is verified. Okay, if not return true, then something else. Okay, check if the sensitive data exists before accessing. That's why we are using the in operator in user profile. If it's return true, then warning temporary password is still present, otherwise profile is clean. Great, you get the console log. Actually this is a realistic scenario where you might remove temporary properties after they are no longer needed. So excellent work. Today we covered what we covered today: how to remove property using the delete operator. Actually and second is the difference between deleting and the settings to undefined, why object comparison is different from the primitive comparison, how to compare object properties manually and with a function, different way to check if a property exists or not. Okay, these are the fundamental skill you will use constantly when working with the object in JavaScript. In the next video we will learn how to iterate over object property using the different methods like for, in, loops, and the object.keys. Okay, so if you found this helpful, so make sure to like this video and subscribe for more JavaScript tutorials. Practice this concept, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.